Welcome to episode 69 of Bandofla. Looking at your screen, you will remember these two characters. This is the trilogy of In Mikel We Trust. We've had so much feedback, lots of positive feedback in terms of the two previous episodes that both Ahmet, Orhan, and Aydan Nevzat contributed to. Lots of really great feedback, and we're going to be covering some very topical issues in terms of Arsenal Football Club. What we're going to also do at the end is give it a bit of an international flavour and talk about Fenerbahce because the special one, as he is known, Mourinho, Jose, is now in Istanbul with Fenerbahce. So we'll finish off with our guest's thoughts on Jose and what Turkish fans, what Fenerbahce fans can expect in Kadıköy. I think I said that right. Okay, so where I want to start, guys, for those watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, just before we start, you can follow us on Twitter _Bandofla, and we're also on YouTube. Just search Bandofla. So the football season at last is only a matter of days away. We luckily we had the Euros, the European Championships, which kind of kept us going in terms of the football gap. And that was quite exciting to watch. But the Premiership season is about to start. And where I want to start with both of you, and Ahmet, I'll bring you in first. I think a lot of Arsenal fans have been quite affected by the departure of Emil Smith Rowe. People talked about him. He had that one fantastic season and then he had the injury problems. But unfortunately, Emil has now left to go to Fulham. I'm going to bring you in first to just, you talked very highly of Emil in a previous episode. Now that he's actually gone, what's your thoughts on that? And how do you think he's going to do at Fulham?
Um, Thanks, Fevzi. Good evening to everyone. I think he'll do well. I think he'll do. If he can keep himself fit, he'll do really well. I love Emil Smith Rowe. I love all of our Highland boys. They're good boys, and I'll be honest with you, it was like part of the family or like a nephew leaving the club. I was affected by it, like most Arsenal fans were. It was one of our boys, Saka and Emil Smith Rowe. Two peas in a pod. That's how we saw them. I think Arsenal's view on that is Emil. I think is I don't know whether he's injury prone. It seems that way. We've been burnt before with injury prone players. So Arteta, look, great guy, and I'm an Arteta fan through and through. But I think you'll find that there will be no sentiment. There will be no place for sentiment anymore. If we want to go on and win the Premiership, and for me, the holy grail is the Champions League, because I've never seen that. We have to stand behind Arteta on this, on not just Emil, but on, we'll see other players go as well that we won't like. But City have done that over the years. Ferguson done that famously with Stam and with Beckham, Cantona. That they all went. When he's had enough of them, he's gone. Emil, love him. Just we'll be following. Fulham have suddenly become my second team. He's already scored 2 goals in his first 2 games. All we can do is wish him luck. And when he comes back to the Emirates, you wait and see what sort of welcome he will get.
Yeah, that's a great opening start to the show, Ahmet. I think you're spot on. Aydan, as Ahmet said, he's already scored a couple of goals in his pre-season. What do you think about the price that we got for him? Because, I think Fulham got a bit of a bargain, didn't they? I mean, do you think we should have held out, or do you think that was a fair price, or what did you think of that?
I mean, I think, injuries aside, purely looking at his potential, I think that's definitely a bargain. But last 2 seasons, he hasn't been consistent. It's clear that he's a bit. I think the fact that he hasn't performed consistently over the last couple of seasons has brought down his price tag. But I still think, sentiment aside, it is probably a good move for Emil because he deserves the minutes. And if we can't give it to him, because we can't take the risks during a title race, if we can't give him those minutes, I think it is best he, shows the world what he's got to offer at another club.
Yeah, we're seeing some Arsenal fans already kind of giving it we're going to regret selling him after, as Ahmet's pointed out, he scored a couple of goals in his first couple of friendly matches. But I think must have been a horribly difficult decision for Mikel Arteta because Mikel clearly has got a lot of time for Emil Smith Rowe, and that must have been one of the toughest decisions that he's had to make as an Arsenal manager. Bit of remiss of me at the beginning. I know that both Ahmet and Aydan have been on the show before, but we are lucky to have both of these guys on the podcast. Ahmet's knowledge of all things Arsenal is quite incredible. I think, is this your 62nd year or 63rd year, Ahmet? And well over 2,000 games that you've seen. So we're really lucky to have you on. And Aydan, on the flip side of that, was born in the season that the Invincibles managed their incredible feat. So we've got two ends of the spectrum covered on this podcast. Aydan, I'm going to come back to you quickly in terms of pre-season. How do you think pre-season has gone? Obviously, the team was out in America. And they played one or two other matches. Obviously, just played the Emirates Cup the other night. What was your reaction to the pre-season?
Yeah, I really liked what I saw. I liked in particular the two youngsters that were tested a lot in Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly. I liked how they played. I liked their confidence. I also thought that Gabriel Jesus was, he showed that he's hungry. He wants to be in the team. He still has more to give to Arsenal. And on the other hand, the preseason matches showed me how much we need Saliba. I mean, obviously, he didn't join us till quite late into preseason because he was at the Euros. And it really did show. When he came back in for the last game or two, Raya had practically nothing to do. I mean, he made one good save. Was it yesterday? And I do think that's mainly down to Saliba. Don't get me wrong. I love Gabriel. I can't emphasize enough how important he is and how sometimes he's quite underrated and he can get overshadowed by Saliba. But the preseason games against Bournemouth, Man U, and Liverpool really showed me that Saliba is, the guy.
Well, the guy's mustard, isn't he? Ahmet, what stood out for you in pre-season? Anything in particular? Obviously, it was a fairly gentle run out, certainly in the earlier games, but there was some pretty tough opposition there for Arsenal, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, you're playing United, you're playing Bournemouth, you're playing Liverpool, Bayer Leverkusen, Invincibles in Germany, and Lyon, who are they're more than a decent side. So we've gone in at the deep end. Some of the teams play sort of like, if you don't mind me saying, sort of smaller teams just to get the goal tallies up. But we've gone there tested. I think the bonuses for us is Zinchenko. I was really pleased with. I think he's come back to how he was when he first joined the club a couple of years ago. I think he's with our signing of the Italian guy. Calafiori. With us signing him, it's obviously given him sort of like he's had to think about that. So, yeah, the youngsters come in, Nweri, to be honest with you. You can see him. I get vibes of Brady with him. I'm old enough to remember. I get real vibes of Leon Brady when I see that boy. He's going to be a little bit special. Yeah, I think that it hasn't been an unbelievable pre-season, but it's been good enough. It's been a regular middle of the road team we've rolled over by Leverkusen. We've played some really, really good football. A couple of our goals were absolutely outstanding. You know, if we can keep that up, and as Aydan was saying, we just need to keep Saliba and Gabriel fit. They won't play every game, and that's when Calafiori comes in. That's when Zinchenko comes in. So yeah, you know, I think it's been a decent pre-season. Let's see how we go this week against Wolves.
That'd be an interesting game with Wolves. Staying with you, Ahmet, on the transfer scene.
Yeah.
There's been I'm hearing again some, you know, I know what our view is on this podcast. We've got faith in Mikel, you know, and you know, you can't not have faith really. I know we haven't won the league, but you know, you can see what's going on.
Yeah.
You can see the progress, but there's still some Arsenal fans who are getting quite angry and frustrated around the money not being spent.
I think what we've got to realise is there's still 21 days to go, and you know, the transfer season doesn't end on the day that the league starts, and we've seen that many times before. I think this Mikel Mourinho from Real Sociedad, hopefully that will happen, and then I believe we need a striker like everyone else. We just need that striker there, you know, because you can see even in the pre-season games with Havertz missed a lot of chances, Martinelli missed a lot of chances, Trossard here and there, Saka not cutting in. I know you know, most of those guys played, you know, they all played European Championship games but you know, when we start the season, no one cares about European Championships. We need to get there and get cracking, because the fourth or fifth game we got Tottenham, then we got Man City, both away games. We need to be on the ball, and I would love us to get a top class forward as well.
Yeah, good point.
I think what they're thinking is they should have taken the 25 for Nketiah. Now, the Nketiah deal is off this evening, from what I understand.
What, to Marseille?
To Marseille. Marseille have gone for another French guy, 25 plus 5. Arsenal wanted 30, and Marseille just said, right, we're going for someone else. So Nketiah is out the way now. So they should have, I think, taken the 25. All right, you might say, you know, good player, to take the money. They did it with Emil. They should have done it with him as well. And, you know, I think once a couple of the players go and the high wages go, then we can look at bringing someone outstanding in. From what I understand, feelings from the club, there will be a big transfer, and not talking about Mourinho either. I think there will be a big name coming in. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Aydan, you touched on in previous episodes about Osimhen and Vlahovic, and you know, I mean, I thought we were one of the top scorers in the Premiership last season, and we managed to do that despite the injuries to Jesus, and Havertz did well, and you know, people were contributing from all over the field. Who do you think? Obviously, Solanke's gone to them lot down the road, which I think is a good signing for Spurs. And Ivan Toney, we talked about him. I don't think we'll be going after Ivan Toney, too expensive, and he's getting on. Who do you think can fill that spot to help support the club bang those goals in?
I mean, if you ask me, probably one of my idealistic targets would probably be Alexander Isak. I like him a lot because he's Premier League proven. The way he plays reminds me of, I mean, I didn't watch him live, I was too young, but Thierry Henry, you know, the way he moves, might also be because he wears the number 14. But I mean, what sets him aside from a lot of the strikers in Europe, I think, is the fact that we know he can, you know, do it against the more physical Premier League defenders. So I'd love to see him at Arsenal. But elsewhere in Europe, Victor Gyökeres and Victor Osimhen are also, you know, again, dream targets. They would ask for a lot of money, and we would have to kind of out-persuade a lot of other big clubs. But I don't know what the club are looking for and how much they're willing to spend. on a striker this window.
Just out of interest, how's Balogun doing? Is he still in France, or I've not really been following his progress and how he's done? I mean, it's all gone a bit quiet, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's gone a bit quiet. I mean, he's still at Monaco as far as I know, but I haven't heard much from him either.
Okay, all right, cool. Ahmet, it's quite interesting because we've seen some of our academy players moving on. We had the signing. I can't. His name escapes me. The youngster who was banging in about 10 goals a game. He's unfortunately gone to Man United. But we've had a couple of other youngsters who've gone for 3 million, 4 million. It's interesting that the academy players who haven't yet played a senior game in the Premier League and they're commanding those types of sums. Arsenal's clearly got a strategy going on to move on some of these academy players. What's your view on that?
Well, the Chelsea have been doing it for years. They've been bringing in these kids, loaning them out, coming back in, selling them on. City have started doing that to some extent as well. So maybe Arsenal was trying to do that. Now, a lot of people are saying, why did we let him go? Why didn't they sign him? 16-year-old kid scored 10 goals in one match. Everyone's getting excited. He's still a 16-year-old kid. He is big for his age. In a couple of years' time, everyone else will catch up with him. I hope the boy does well, but there's no guarantee for that. And, Arsenal apparently offered him, was it 15 grand a week for a 16-year-old, where usually you get 2,000 a week or whatever it is. United have offered him 30,000. Good luck to him. If he does well, fair play. But like Balogun, the grass isn't always greener. Arsenal is a really good school to sort of learn your trade in. Obviously, his head's been turned by the money, which is a shame, really. But that's the way it is these days. And a couple of the other kids, they couldn't really see. I mean, the little right winger that we had who went, really, if you think of it, he's never going to get in front of Saka. So he's probably thought to himself, you know what? Brighton want me. They're going to give me a bit of money as well. See you later. Yeah. And that's the way it is. Not even Ferguson or Wenger got every transfer right. The 20% of transfers go awry, at least. So but basically, the king is dead. Long live the king.
Absolutely. And are you happy with the squad as it stands? If we get that striker, would you be happy?
If we get that striker and we get Mikel Mourinho from Sociedad, I'll be happy. And then, I don't know what's happening with Ramsdale. If Ramsdale going to stay, there's no one really. Is there anything happening there? I don't know. He hasn't even got a minute in any of pre-season games because he weren't here because of the Euros. And then he's been back for the games at the Emirates. But, Heinz going out on loan, is he? We don't know. So we don't know what the goalkeeping situation is. But definitely, if we get Mourinho and if we get Guy Corres, I'll be happy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Aydan, just quickly, what's your thoughts on the squad at the moment? We will make a really good challenge, definitely. But what do you think we do need that person at the top?
Yeah, I do think maybe one or two more transfers would be ideal. I mean, if you told me we were going into the season with the exact squad we have right now, I wouldn't be devastated. I wouldn't lose hope or anything like that. I still do think it's a very strong squad, a title contending squad. But I think a striker and definitely a centre midfielder would help us a lot because, those two centre mids that we played Rice and Jorginho a lot last season. Thomas Partey came in. Obviously, he's been inconsistent because of injuries. And I mean, we had, I guess, El Neni as a backup last season as well. He's now no longer at the club. So I do think we do need another centre mid as well. I think a lot of focus has been, amongst the fans has been on encouraging the club to sign a striker, but I do think that centre mid position shouldn't go, unnoticed.
Or just as backup. Yeah. Okay. Right. What we're going to do is something a bit different here. I'm going to just throw out some of the possible trophies that we'll be in the running for. And then I want you to respond with where you think the club will, finish in the race in that particular competition. So, Ahmet, I'm going to start with you, the big one. Obviously, well, it's a matter of opinion with the big one, but I'll say Premier League to start off with. Is it going to be another season being the bridesmaid, or do you think this is the year?
Well, this could be the year. Absolutely could be the year. A lot of people are making Arsenal favourites. I think Man City is still the team to beat. I think if we can, as I say, if we can get those couple of transfers, if we can make a supersonic signing a few days before the end of the season and get the club really going, and we'll finish top two. But whether God, can you imagine? Can you imagine that after all these years, Upper Street, Islington High Street, we wouldn't be able to sort of get out alive.
Yeah.
So it will be fantastic for the club. The fan base deserve it. We're all back in the club. We're all back in Arteta, Edu, the Cronkays. It's all falling into place. All we need now is to get over the line, win that first Premiership in 20 years. And then you light the blue touch paper. And this is where the Cronkays come in and back the club. Because what they want is Champions League. They want. So,
Just on the Premiership, though, we've still got that magic number 115. I made a comment on a BBC news article yesterday, and I mentioned the 115 charges, and they removed my comment, and I got a warning.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, Big Brother at the BBC has told me off.
I'll take that as a compliment if you got told by the BBC.
I think Pep, they've still got a brilliant squad, stronger squad. Easily. But it'd be interesting to see how the pressure plays out, Ahmet, because I think that
definitely.
It's going to be ramped up this season.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And I think Arsenal are really up for it. And if we're going to do it, we're going to do it this season.
Yeah. No, okay, we'll see. So top two finish prediction.
Top two finish for me. It's difficult. Of course, I want Arsenal to be champs. About saying, but I still think it's touch and go.
Yeah. Okay. Aydan, Champions League. Where do you think how far will Arsenal progress? Do you think we'll progress to beyond knockout? Later stages of knockout, or is it? I don't know where the final is going to be next year.
I believe Dublin. No. Yeah. No.
Okay. Ahmet's
Madrid.
Madrid. When?
Where? Munich.
Munich.
Oh, sorry.
We can do sign language as well now. I done Champions League. What do you reckon?
Champions League. It's tough, but I'd go for an optimistic semis. I don't think we'd get too much further than that. If we are in that title race again, I'd rather us, win the Premier League this season, personally. I mean, that also could be because my whole timeline is much shorter, so I haven't seen us win the league. So for me, I'd like all the energy to be focused there in April, because that's where we seem to, fumble.
Good, yeah. So, I mean, that's a fair observation. Ahmet, coming back to you, FA Cup. We're the most successful English team, I think, when it comes to the FA Cup. You're just on mute, mate. Where do you think we'll do? How do you think we'll do in the FA Cup? Great competition.
All depends on the draw. All depends on what players are available. I think that he should do what City are doing, go with the first team all the time. But then again, people say, well, you need to play the fringe players in these cups. No, let's go for it. We won it 14 times more than anyone else. Let's go for that 15th one, and if things go not so good in the league or the Champions League, we've got to go for the FA Cup. We own it.
We have got an incredible record in the FA Cup, and that's a brilliant game.
It's mad.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, and Aydan, the final one, some fans refer to it as the Mickey Mouse Cup, but we won't do it that disrespect. The League Cup, as it is traditionally known. We've not normally done that great in that because the teams that we put out tend to be, quite weak teams. Whereas, point Ahmet's just made around City and, even them lot down the road tend to put out quite a strong team. How do you think we'll do in a League Cup?
I also think it'll be down to the draw. If we end up drawing a big team, I can't see us, well, I mean, not to disrespect any of the traditionally smaller teams, but I do think if we, draw the likes of a Liverpool or a Man City, or, even a Man U, Chelsea, I don't see Arteta still, giving it 110% for the League Cup midweek if we've got an important Premier League fixture coming up. So I think it will depend on the draws as to how far we go in that cup. I do think it'll be the same kind of mindset as it has been for the last couple of seasons with regards to the League Cup.
Yeah. Ahmet, do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. The League Cup, we've only won it twice in our history. 1987, 1993. So it's not a traditional cup that we've always gone for. But yeah, I think any silverware is good. We need it. We've got one FA Cup in 2020. For a club the size of Arsenal, we need silverware. We need silverware just to keep everyone happy and sort of like shut a few people up as well. So I'd like to think that we'd go for the League Cup, but again, obviously it's fourth in line.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've touched on some really good stuff with the Arsenal, and Arsenal fans are buzzing because the season's only a few days away. So lots to look forward to. We're going to give this episode an international flavour now. Interestingly, both Ahmet and Aydan are also Fenerbahce supporters. So not only are they both Gooners, but they're also Fener fans. And they've made an interesting appointment as their manager, in terms of their manager, because Jose Mourinho has very recently been appointed. I know, Ahmet, you've got some really interesting stories, but I'm going to start with you quickly, just in terms of what your thoughts are on Mourinho's appointment. Do you think it'll be good for Fenerbahce and Turkish football in general, or will the controversy that normally follows Mourinho cause the club a headache? What do you think about that?
In all honesty, I think it's a perfect fit for Turkish football. The kind of person he is, I think fits the fan base in Turkey. And don't get me wrong, I don't have the fondest memories of Mourinho as an Arsenal fan. The 6 odd years he spent at Chelsea in total. So I don't love the guy for those reasons, but I do think he's a perfect fit for the Super League, and surprised that it took him this long to get there. I mean, the fans already love him. It's like he's a political leader almost, the way they're praising him and following him. And I think it'll bring great attention to Fenerbahce, to the Turkish league. Just his name, being mentioned in that league, I think it'll be great.
Thanks, Aydan. That's a very interesting analogy in terms of the reference to being a political leader. Ahmet, you've got some interesting thoughts on his appointment.
But on Saturday night, Fenerbahce won 1-0 at home, and Mourinho told the players not to go anywhere. he took them back to the training ground, and he said to them, "It starts now. Because the game is tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 1800 hours here in London, by the way. Anyone who wants to watch."
What, he took them to the training ground straight after the game?
Straight after the last game, he said, "This is where it starts now. We need to get into the Champions League.
That would
Money wise,
gone well with the players.
Now, Ali Koç, the president of Fenerbahce, has made this appointment, I believe, not just for football. Obviously, for football, the guy's getting 10 million euros a season. He's one of the best paid coaches in Europe. Amazing. So they've given him this money, but Fenerbahce have had their problems with the TFF, the Turkish Football Federation, over the last 15 to 20 years, with problems with Trabzonspor and Galatasaray, and then the coach that was shot at on the way to Trabzon airport. It's very complex, but Fenerbahce believe they're hard done by. Ali Koç has got Mourinho, so the rest of the football world will look at what Mourinho's doing. And Mourinho has already come out today, or yesterday, I think it was. He said he got yellow carded within 20 minutes, Mourinho, for stepping a meter over the line. And he was saying himself, the Galatasaray coach has done the same thing, gone 4 yards in front and not got a yellow card. So already the war of words are starting. It's Okan Buruk versus Mourinho, as Wenger was against Mourinho, for instance, or Sir Alex Ferguson again. So it's already starting. Now, Fenerbahce played on Saturday night. That game was shown live in 30 countries.
Wow.
Unprecedented for the Super League. And this has got to do with Mourinho, Fenerbahce, and all the deals that they're coming through. They're now big. If they can get through to the Champions League group stages, oh my God, you can like the blue touch paper.
Fascinating. And you've got a really nice story about Fenerbahce's first tie in Europe, or was it Man City when they played Man City?
Man City.
1968, was it?
1968. 1968. I was 10 years old. My father's a fervent Fenerbahce fan. Fenerbahce got drawn against Manchester City away in the first round of the European Cup, which is now the Champions League. The year before, the season before, Manchester United won the European Cup for the first time. And the trainer of Manchester City was Malcolm Allison, who's quite an extroverted guy who said, "We are going to set Europe alight." Fenerbahce drew 0-0 up there. I was the only child amongst two coach loads of Fenerbahce fans, 80 of us actually up there. I've still got the ticket stub somewhere. And they drew 0-0 and they beat City 2-1 in Istanbul and knocked them out.
Wow.
This great Manchester City team of Summerby, Bell, Lee, they were knocked out by Fener. So, and where did Man City win their first ever European Cup or Champions League? In Istanbul last year. Funny how that goes. But so it's Fener are a big club. Fener, Galatasaray, Beşiktaş, the big three. Pick and choose whoever you support. Everyone thinks they're the best, they're the biggest, and all of that stuff. But we're Fener fans, and it will be, hold on, put your seatbelts on because Mourinho's going to take Fenerbahce for a ride.
Yeah.
Big time.
That's a lovely story, Ahmet. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It involves your late father as well.
Yeah. My father was.
You went to so many games with your dad, so it's always lovely to mention, around your dad. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we've come to the end of episode 9. This is the trilogy. This is the third time Ahmet, Orhan and Aydan Nevzat have joined Bandofla to talk all things Arsenal. This episode is called In Mikel We Trust. Just final comments. Aydan, what's your advice to Arsenal fans this season? I think the vast majority are 100% behind Mikel, but there's a few people out there who like to try and upset the apple cart, what's your message to them?
I think we need to keep the the energy and the belief we've had for the last, what I'd say 2 and a bit years. If we as fans believe and continue motivating, it's only going to help. I think every time we've doubted Mikel, he's managed to prove us wrong. So I think, trust the process. As you said, in Mikel we trust. And, any positive energy towards the club is good energy. So I think, that's how we have to continue for the next 8-9 months.
Inshallah, as they say. Ahmet, any final comments along those lines, just in terms of what has to be the message for Arsenal fans moving forward?
Well, Arsenal fans, got to keep the faith and keep on doing what we're doing. The Emirates is buzzing. I go to every home game. The difference between Arteta's time now, the last 2-3 seasons, I think it's been the best ever at Arsenal since I've been going. And if the fans the majority are behind Arteta. You're always going to get one or two that think, sort of like doom and gloom and all of that. But yeah, as I say, if we can get over the line once, then as I said many times, like the blue touch paper, because the future is red. The future is Arsenal.
What better note to finish on? The future will be red. You watch this space, people. Folks, you've been watching episode 69. We hope you are all keeping well. Today was the hottest day of the year in the United Kingdom. Make sure your sun cream is on your heads, especially if you're a slaphead like me. If you can follow us on Twitter _Bandofla and just search any decent podcast platform, searching Bandofla. My thanks to both Ahmet, Orhan, and Aydan Nevzat. Thank you, guys. Big love. Good night and God bless you all.
Likewise. Take care, everyone.
Take care.